Alabama star quarterback Ty Simpson has declared for the 2026 NFL Draft, and we're going to tell you today why that was the best decision he's ever made.
You are Locked On NFL Draft, your daily podcast covering the NFL Draft. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast, your daily podcast covering your favorite draft prospects. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your boy, Damian Parson. I'm an NFL draft analyst with Bleacher Report. That's my guy, Ty Sanchez. He's a director of scouting with the Draft Network and 2019 national champion with the LSU Tigers. And as always, thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and everyday shot for being our everydayers, guys. Buy or sell. That's the topic on today's show. Ty Simpson's draft stock. He declared for the 2026 NFL Draft, but there's some schools offering him nearly $6.5 million to potentially stay in school. We could talk about buy or sell. Should he stay or should he go? Trinidad Chambliss, a guy who has a hot market right now, he's trying to sue the NCAA so he gets one more year of college football. And Matayo Uiagalelei, the edge rusher from Oregon, says he's going back to Oregon. Buy or sell, that was the right decision. Let's get it started with Ty Simpson. Keith, like I said, he declared last week, and then reports over the weekend said there's some colleges that are offering him close to $6.5 million to reconsider going to the NFL and staying in school one more year. Buy or sell, declaring for the NFL Draft was the right decision, in your opinion?
Yeah, I think it was the right decision. And this is a situation where you may potentially be thinking about the long game, right? Because if you're able to do certain things and put yourself in place to be selected as a first round pick, then that $6.5 million, right? Like you kind of compensate for that, right? Like you'll be in the first round, you have guaranteed money, XYZ, right? And you'll be on the path to making more money. Now, what you have to realize is this, that every situation, especially in college football, is not the same, right? Like in these quarterbacks year in and year out don't know what they're walking into. And let's just take this year, right? Remember when Garrett Nussmeier was the number one overall pick? Remember when Lenore Sellers was the number one overall pick? Remember when Drew Aller was the number one overall pick, right? We are far from that, right? Those days are long.
It was a top 10 pick.
Yeah. Those days are long behind us. So I'm just in the belief of, you know what, if you've played good football, then and your name is hot, then go ahead and go, because you don't know, like the grass isn't always greener, meaning that transferring, taking the money. Now, what if you go to a bad situation, right? And then now you're a third round pick. So you took the $6.5 million, but then in a year it cost you maybe potentially $10 to $15 million, right? And guaranteeing money from the NFL. And not only that, if teams are willing to take you in the first round, I think it was, who was it? Matter of fact, it was Lions defensive back Amik Robinson, right? And he was talking to Lions defensive back Terrion Arnold, and he was talking about, like, listen, man, when y'all are drafted, talking about Terrion Arnold, right? Y'all guys are drafted in the first round. Y'all have leeway to mess up, right? Like teams are invested into you for the full 3-4 years in most occasions. But when you become a third, fourth, fifth round pick, you could essentially be cut, right? Like you have 2 years to figure it out. And the later you're going to draft, the less leeway you have. So I think that Ty needs to take all of that in consideration. And there's first round conversation where all he has to do is go to the combine, test well, throw the football, XYZ, interview well, and he could be a first round pick. I go with that at this point. And I understand the $6.5 million is right there, but you could be taking the quick money right there, and it could cost you on the back end, because these situations vary from offensive linemen to coaches to receivers to tight ends to just all type of things that happen in college football now. Is a very volatile situation.
Yeah, I think shout out to Pastor Mike Jr. I was listening to a message he preached probably about a month or so ago. He talked about every deal isn't a good deal. And I think, that's the same situation here. You take the $6.5 million, if you're Ty Simpson right now, yeah, it's good short term. It's $6.5 million regardless. It's good. It's great money, right? But it's short term, because it's like, okay, like you said, you go back and you don't play. If you already have a first round tag, right? How much more are you helping yourself by going back to school? I think that's the part that people throw out there so lazily. Just it's such a lazy take. Hey, Dante Moore, go back to school and improve. Well, what part of my draft stock am I improving? If I'm already a second overall pick at this particular moment, you telling me I'm going to like the teams are going to take me over Arch next year. The teams are going to take me over if Lenore Sellers finishes his development. Now I got to deal with that toolsy athletic freak. And
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
And I want to jump back in there because I've thought a lot about this, and I told you that I think that's the trend in the draft space now, right? It went from the running backs on valuable to quarterbacks. If you're not perfect, you should go back, right?
Exactly.
But I look at some of the quarterbacks that we have who are the very best quarterbacks in the NFL. Josh Allen, he was not a complete and ready-made project coming out of college football, right? He had a lot to develop. Lamar Jackson, same thing. Patrick Mahomes, right, was the same exact way. So none of these quarterbacks come out, and I want to I want to state that just for NFL, like for NFL draft fans, the NFL fans, right? And because we really love obviously listening to this podcast, you love roster construction, right? Like, okay, what quarterback do we get after the tools, all of these different things. That's 3 all-pro guys, future Hall of Fame quarterbacks that I said were not perfect prospects coming out, and we know they weren't perfect prospects coming out because you had a guy go pick 32, a guy that went pick 10, and I think Josh Allen went somewhere around pick 13 or 15, maybe even 17, right? You went in the middle of the first round. So the NFL didn't even view these guys as perfect prospects. So I think that I would hate to start wiping everything with one lens once again, right? And just saying, oh man, if you didn't have the perfect Cinderella story season, then you should go back, right? The Cam Newton season with Auburn, the Joe Burrow season with LSU, those more times than not, Fernando Mendoza, right? But those are one-offs more than they are the trend and the status. And then we also know this.
Special players, special situations.
Yeah, and we also know that your college production or your college situation doesn't translate, right? Like you winning, be like, oh man, well, if he won the Heisman, then he should go. The Heisman doesn't matter to the NFL, right?
No.
And they've showed you plenty of times.
Tim Tebow won the Heisman.
Yeah, that's what I'm about to say. We have plenty of Heisman winners that were not productive in the NFL.
Honey Manziel won the Heisman, so no.
Yeah, right. I kind of really want to stay away from that notion because I think it can muddy some things, and we get into this trend of, oh yeah, if you ain't have a great season, a perfect season, then go back to college. And it's like, yeah, that's not how the NFL has been, and we're going to miss out on some really good opportunities if we talking about the NFL draft space. We don't feel like that, right? But if we continue to move in that direction where it's like, oh, were they great? Nope. Were they perfect? Nope. Send them back to college.
It's just not. It doesn't make sense. Again, college landscape. I was talking to a recruiter. And
that's the other part too. It's not like it's consistent. Like college is more.
Consistent.
It may be more volatile than the NFL right now, right?
Bro, I'm trying to think of who. I'm trying to think. It was a head coach that left. I can't think because there's so much changes right now in college football. But a recent head coach left, took another job. Matter of fact, no, not the head coach. North Texas. I think it's North Texas. They're almost like you see multiple North Texas players leaving North Texas to go to Oklahoma State. They're following the quarterback Drew Mestamaker to Oklahoma State, right? Like you get players. Caleb Downs, why did he leave Alabama? Nick Saban, who he went there for Nick Saban. Nick Saban retired. So he said, well, if Nick Saban's not here, I'm not staying. How many times have we seen that over decades of college football? If a head coach takes a job, they leave. Player movement, coach movement, everything is shifting. The recruiter was like, bro, you look at the landscape, rosters are flipping. It's just high. It's like a high turnover rate. College football is like one big call center. And anybody that's ever worked in the call center job knows when you interview for those jobs, they tell you this is a high turnover rate job. And you're sitting there like, why can't you keep employees? Like, you know what I mean? Like, why are you constantly hiring new people? It's just like that in college football. The seats are changing. Faces are going different places. And so telling them, hey, you know what? Ty Simpson, go back to school and transfer. Where? You got all these quarterbacks in the portal from everywhere. All these new head coaches. You got to find a perfect spot to elevate your game. No, go to the league. You probably end up, my personal opinion, I think he ends up a Ram. I think Sean McVay understanding that Matthew Stafford, his back, his age, you're probably not playing till you're 42, 43 years old like Aaron Rodgers. And if so, you do not have the franchise quarterback, the heir apparent to the throne on the roster right now. So go get that guy. I think you can go ahead and grab him, especially because teams love that 5th-year option and that flexibility to let you develop, in the first couple seasons. So no, I buy or sell. I'm buying that this was the right decision. And truthfully, I think it's the best decision he could have made.
Yep, I agree. Well, let's do this, man. Let's go to another SEC quarterback, Mr. Trinidad Chambliss. Buying or selling him, fighting to get his waiver, right? Fighting to get a waiver to return back to college football. We'll have that discussion coming up next.
If you've ever hired someone who looked good on paper, but wasn't the right fit, you know how important that is. When you want candidates who truly match what you're looking for, trust Indeed sponsored jobs. Hiring? Indeed has all you need. Stop struggling to get your post seen on other job sites. Indeed's sponsored jobs puts your post at the top of the page and helps you reach the right candidates faster. Spend more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes with less stress, less time, and more results using Indeed sponsored jobs. Listeners of this show get a $75 sponsored job credit to help give your job the premium placement that it deserves at Indeed.com/locked-on-NFL. Just go to Indeed.com/locked-on-NFL right now and support the show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. New year, new systems. This is the time when a lot of us look at the messier parts of how we run our business and think there has to be a better way. And there is. Streamlining your communications is one of the quickest ways and upgrades you can make. That's why today's episode is brought to you by Quo, spelled Quo, the smarter way to run your business communications. Because when your team is reachable, organized, and communicating in one place, you're not just working cleaner, you're creating more opportunities to connect with your customers. I love how simple Quo makes everything. It's no surprise that Quo is the #1 rated phone business system on G2, trusted by more than 90,000 businesses, from solo operators to growing teams. Make this the year where no opportunity and no customer slips away from you. Try Quo for free, plus get 20% off your first 6 months when you go to quo.com/lockedonnfl. That's QUO.com/lockedonnfl. Quo, no missed calls, no missed customers. Trinidad Chambliss, Ole Miss star quarterback, led them to the CFP, 2 playoff wins, nearly a third to get to the national championship game, guys. And yeah, he's fighting for another year. He's fighting to go back. I think the reason is because he had tonsillitis one year and it impacted his ability to play that season. But for me, in terms of buying or selling that he should be trying to go back to school, I'm selling that, Keith. He needs to go to the draft. At the end of the day, like, you are striking while the iron is hot. And not just that, you play well. You showcase your abilities on the biggest and brightest stages. Yes, it would have been a lot of fun to see him against this veteran defense of Kurt Signetti and the coverages and the different things that defensive coordinator threw at him mentally and visually to see how he would have countered that in the pocket, right? If they were able to keep him in the pocket and make him throw and win from the pocket. But Carson Beck's legs were the difference maker. I say sell it that you should try to go back to school. I know that they're going to they're suing the NCAA or whatever to get that waiver approved. I think he should go to the NFL. I think you go to the draft. You're going to get drafted high. I promise. I don't want to say I promise you because I can't say anything I don't have a crystal ball, Keith. I can't say it like it's set in stone. But if everything holds the way the draft spear right now is expecting for 2027's quarterback class, I don't think that you're going to be going in the first 2 rounds, bud. Like, I don't think that's what's going to happen. I'm not trying. Like, what did we say last year? All those running backs was in the same class. It's like, hey guys, next year is kind of a down year, right? Like it's why don't you go back and be a 2nd round pick instead of a 7th round pick in this class, right? I'm not saying he's going to be a 7th round pick, but I think he'll probably be more close to the 4th with the type of talent that class will have. So if DJ Lagway catches fire, if Nico Iamaleava develops, Norris Sellers, we know Arch, right? Like Julian
You just mentioned Drew Mestamaker, right?
Yeah, Drew Mestamaker. Like, bro, no.
Dylan Raiola, what is he going to do?
Dylan Raiola, Josh Hoover in Indiana now, right? Like, it's too much. It's too much. Brendan Sorsby going to Texas Tech with all the money they have. Like, yeah,
Sam
go
Levitt
to the
at
NFL.
LSU. What happens there? Marcel Reed at Texas A&M.
I forgot about Levitt, going to LSU. And then they got They just brought in like 6 new receivers with Lane Kiffin. So think that Sam Levin's not going to put up numbers. Like, I'm not trying to contend with that, Keith. Not saying don't be a competitor, but again, be smart with your decision and strike while the iron is hot so that you can get the opportunity to something you said in the beginning in the first topic. Being drafted in a certain round and place gives you leeway. If you're a 4th round quarterback, ask Matt Corral how that worked out for him as a 3rd round quarterback for the Carolina Panthers. They immediately went and got 2 more guys, Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield. Go where you can potentially be a 2nd round pick and then feel a little bit more connected with you.
There are going to be some NFL talent evaluators, right, that are going to watch the film, that are going to see a young man with a live arm, mobile, competitive, right, grit, willing to take it to the next level, lay it all out online to win football games, right? The kinds of it, there was some decision making, right, that needs to improve, and I think we've seen that in the Miami game, right? But I think when you sit down and you look at the NFL talent, well, when the NFL talent sit down, they're like, and you got Ole Miss to the semifinals. You wasn't even a starter this year. You came in and played good football amongst all of this chaos. Why don't you want to go to the NFL? And it's not like you're a true junior. This would be, you're fighting for your 6th year, I believe, of college football. Yeah, like, I mean, it's I think you've proven yourself, right? And I think he's proven himself. And I keep saying this, it's not like if you cut on what he's done and cut on what Jackson Dart did, it ain't like it's much different. right?
I'm actually more impressed with what he did than Jackson Dart.
Yeah, 100%. There's not a lot of difference in between it. So I would, just from this situation, you just want to make sure that question is not going to arise, right? From NFL talent evaluators, be like, wait, why are you trying to, like, are you not wanting to go to the NFL? What's going on, right? Like, and we all know what the underlying thing is. It's the money. But we talked just the same statement that I made in a previous segment, right, about leverage and everything else. You can make in this statement. Now, I think that Trinidad has shown enough that it's like, you know what, I can take the next step and get drafted into the NFL. And maybe you're not a day 1 starter for NFL franchise, right? But maybe you're not a day 1 starter for NFL franchise next year either. I think that as truly one of the most impactful runs that you've seen from a quarterback, I think he, like, as far as stepping in, entering the season, transferring from a D2 school, entering the season as a backup, stepping in, your head coach leaving, and leading your team to the 2nd round, well, the semifinals, and you had them up with 2 minutes left, right? Like, you did what you had to do, had them up with 2 minutes left, and everybody believes when that game ended, if they had 30 more seconds, Ole Miss probably wins that football game, right? Just with Trinidad, how he was operating and everything else. So I think Trinidad should declare for the draft. I think this can be a wild ride, a fun ride for him, because I think his stock could potentially still just trend up, right? Like, what is he running a 40 time? Like, and we really diagnose the plays that he's made throughout the playoffs. I think people start saying, like, this guy got them some goods, right? Like, and we've been talking about him for a very long time, but I think he has some goods that can be developed and can be worked on. And it's just going to be like every other situation in the NFL, that it's going to be determined off of where he goes, right? Like, what does the coaching situation look like? What does the offensive line look like? What does the skill set look like? So I definitely take a hard, long look at that.
And to me, Keith, I think you think about the fact of the Jets have the 2nd overall pick. Dante Moore, in my opinion, I think Dante Moore will declare. I know it sounds crazy to everybody else, like, oh, the game he had. How do you declare after that? Easy. I'm going to the NFL draft. That's how you do it. You know, that's what you say. You know what I mean? You just post your picture, thank you, with all the words. Shout out to you, Oregon. I'm going to the NFL draft. That's how you do it. No matter how that game went, that's how easy it is. Putting it out there that you're leaving. He goes number 2 overall to the Jets. You still got the Cardinals, right? You got multiple teams that still need quarterbacks, but they're not going to draft one round. I think the Cardinals have like a top 2nd round pick. You go and you're a 2nd round pick to the Arizona Cardinals, right? Now I know some Cardinal fans are like, all right, DP, we done had one short quarterback. You try to give us another one? Guys, relax. I'm just saying this as a situation that you can move on from Kyler, and then you can put him in that spot. Just keep Jacoby Brissett. Let Jacoby start the couple games. Then let Trinidad step in and play the last 10, 12 games in the season, and let's see what he looks like throwing to Marvin Harrison Jr., Trey McBride, I think it's Michael Wilson, and things like that, like the weapons you have with the run game. You're not going to lose you're not going to lose the playmaking ability of Kyler, because it's different going from Kyler to any other quarterback, truthfully, because he was such a dynamic runner and creator, to where it's like, well, what if things break down? What do we do? It's like, oh, with Trinidad Chambliss, you have a very similar play style or athleticism profile. And then you got a guy that probably, like, at his ceiling, you could probably get him to Russell Wilson. You know what I mean? Now, I'm not saying he's going to win you a title like Russ did with the Legion of Boom, but Russell, when he was in his prime, was a very good quarterback. Hall of Fame worthy quarterback, in my opinion. You know what I mean? Like, Russ is one of the best deep throwers in NFL history. One of the most accurate deep ball throwers of all time. So it's like, just if you can get that deep ball going with him, get him anticipating windows a little bit quicker in terms of Trinidad Chambliss. Yeah, you look at the Cardinals or some of these other teams and say, you know what? I'm not against this. I'm not against bringing this kid in as a second round pick and making a move. Or if Dante Moore does say I'm going back to school and you're the Jets, I think the Jets have they have 2, 16, I think they have 33 and like 44. Maybe you take it with 44. You go BPA, your top 3 picks, and now you add him to come in. I was still bringing a veteran like a Tyrod Taylor or somebody to just be the veteran in the room for him. Maybe he's your starter going forward. But nonetheless, I think you go to the league. There's so many more opportunities that are beneficial to you going to the league right now than you trying to battle the field next year. Because trying to battle the field, listen, I'm putting my money on the house. I'm sorry, I can't bet on you, Trinidad. I'm putting my money on the house that you will probably not be a top 4 quarterback in next year's class.
Yep, I agree, DB. I agree, but let's do this, man. Listen, we had Ty Simpson. He declared. We agreed with that. We had Trinidad Chambliss in the midst of a lawsuit trying to go back to college. We said we don't know about that, right? And then we have Matayo Uiagalelei. He decided to return back to college. Let's discuss if we agree with the decision. We're buying or selling Matayo Uiagalelei declaring to go back to college football. We'll talk about that coming up next.
Let's be real. No one starts a business for the joy of calculating tax withholdings or managing payroll spreadsheets. That's where Gusto comes in to take the stress out of payroll, benefits, and HR so you can focus on running your business and supporting your team. Gusto is the all-in-one remote-friendly payroll and HR platform that makes managing your team simple, transparent, and fast. Whether you're hiring, onboarding, or paying employees, Gusto helps you do it all from one place without the hassle or hidden fees. And knowing you can reach certified HR specialists and experts anytime gives you real peace of mind. Try Gusto today at gusto.com/lockedonnfl and get 3 months free when you run your first payroll. That's right, 3 months free of payroll at gusto.com/lockedonnfl. One more time for you. That's gusto.com/lockedonnfl. The divisional round is here, and FanDuel is officially in playoff mode. Every game day during the NFL playoffs, FanDuel is giving customers even more ways to get in on the action. Because right now, every NFL playoff game day, FanDuel users get a profit boost pack waiting for them inside the app. Each game day, you'll see a pack loaded with multiple profit boosts that you can apply to the bets you like most. Every play feels bigger, and the boosts make your bets feel that way too. You make your picks, then apply your profit boost to go after even bigger payouts while the playoffs get rolling. So visit FanDuel, an official sports book partner of the NFL, and grab your profit boost pack every NFL playoff game day. Again, visit FanDuel, an official sports book partner of the NFL, and grab your profit boost pack every NFL playoff game day. Thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and every day. Shout out for being our everydayers. Buy or sell. Oregon edge rusher with 6'4", 6'5", 6'6", 275. Matayo Uiagalelei, Keith, he says, I'm going. They call him, I think they call him Young Concrete is his nickname. And he's going back to Oregon. Him, Amari Washington, like Dan Lanning is recruiting. He is getting the band back together for another year. Buy or sell it, this was the right decision. In your opinion, we on this podcast, we are high on Matayo Uiagalelei. We want to see him take that step forward and everything. Was that the right decision? Are you buying that he made the right decision, or are you selling and say, hey, go to the league, big fella?
I'm buying the fact that he needs to return to college football, DP. When you look at his profile, right, the physical tools, being 6'5", 6'6", fluid athlete, movement skills, has power in his hands, can play against the run. He can have more production, but also be a more impactful player overall on the football field. And I think that could come with another offseason of workouts, right? But also maybe understanding the game at a higher level once again, right? Just learning how to attack. And as far as a pass rusher, and that's one thing I think we both agreed on was, to me, he was a high collision player, right? Like running down the midline of the offensive tackles, learn how to work the edges, right? Learn how to work angles, things like that. So then that way you can win, or you can convert a counter move off of that. So I think he can be a more impactful player. And I'll be completely honest with you. Watching the film, right? The film versus the physical tools. Because if people, some people looked at my mock drafts, I still had them back into my first round from time to time, things like that, right? The film, in my opinion, says he's probably closer to a third round pick, right? But we know that NFL teams love physical tools, and that's more why I had him pushed up towards the back end of the first round, maybe a top of the second round guy. I just think that, but you don't want to walk into the NFL draft hoping that they see those things, right? And I think that Matayo can actually put it on film. So I agree with him returning back to school. If I had some early comps, right, of just like where he fell in the conversation around it, it would be a JT Tuimalu. It would be a Jack Sawyer type, right, to where you're like, man, I see it. I just need to see it on a more consistent basis.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think we've gone 3 for 3 in terms of agreeing, in terms of buying and selling. I'm buying that he should have went back as well. And I think everything you laid out, right? Like he's such a high ceiling player because of that physical ability and the tools. And you're like, hey, if we could just get you consistent, like you said, stop attacking the midline, work the angles, using your hand, just being more of a tactician and technician in terms of how you rush the passer. We know you got the first step quickness and speed to power conversion, but you flashed the dip and bend and stuff like that around the edge at your size. Like going into next season, we can get more of a consistency from that, where we're on the podcast next year. Like, you know what? It wasn't flashes. We saw it every game that he can throw this at you. And it was more of a trend rather than a blip. And if we can get that out of you, Matayo, that lets that not just your floor is always going to be set. Because, like, to your point, Keith, Michael Williams went top 12. And I would say, looking at these two, I think Matayo is very close to what is a pass rusher to what Michael was coming out last year. Michael was just a really good run defender. Why could that? You probably would have been a first round pick. 6'6", 275, good run defender, good power, good mover, and athleticism. Now it's like, hey, do we trust our D-line coach, right? Like the Eagles. When the Eagles draft or either draft or sign an offensive lineman, there's never any qualms about it. You're like, man, they're going to Stoutland University. Jeff Stoutland, the best O-line coach in the game, right? He's going to get them prepared. He's going to put them in the right situations. If that's the case, if you trust your D-line coach, yeah, you draft him and tell you if he came out this year, round 1, and you trust that your coaching staff can get him where he needs to be. Or if he gets with one of the pass rush specialist coaches out there, there's numerous ones, you know what I mean? Go to Von Miller's camp and learn from him and Crosby and Cam Jordan and all those guys. When they come together, cool. But I think going back to school and putting a consistent year of I am whooping one-on-one coverage from these offensive tackles all year long, right? Maybe you're able to get that get back versus Indiana. It won't be Fernando Mendoza you're getting that, but you'll be rushing, Josh Hoover, and then they got big Nick Marsh, the talented receiver from Michigan State. They like cursing that he's killing the portal right now. Maybe you knock that team off their high horse and you finish that game with 3.5, 4 sacks, and you have a Ruben Bain type of run and make people. What did Jay-Z say? Oh man, I'm blanking. It's a. Let me reintroduce myself, right? Like let you hit a Jay-Z line on them. You have 11 sacks as I think it'd be a senior next year. 11 sacks, and you're like, you know what? I'm first round. Not even just first round. Maybe next year you're top 15 certified. And it's all just depending on where you go and where the quarterbacks land.
Yep, I agree with that. But DP, that wraps up another episode, man, of the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast. I want to end this podcast off by saying shout out to our everydayers. Thank you for tapping in with us each and every single day. I am Keith Sanchez. You can find me on X at The Talent Code. That right there is my guy, my co-host, Mr. Damian Parson. You can find him on X at DP_NFL. And like we like to say, man, y'all can talk to us because we like to talk back.
Go subscribe and follow for free on YouTube, wherever you listen to podcasts, to get the latest episode as soon as it is available, guys. Come on tomorrow's show. We got to start getting ready, guys. We're about a week and a half away from Senior Bowl week. As they always say, the draft starts in Mobile, or if you're on this podcast, the draft is 365. So we're going to talk about some Senior Bowl prospects. We're going to scout the Senior Bowl on tomorrow and tell you what the Senior Bowl could mean, what that week could mean for some of these prospects on tomorrow's show. So come and join the conversation again tomorrow on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.